So Weapons of X-Men is an approaching together of the most remarkable and deadliest renditions of Wolverine downpour across the multiverse on the off chance that there is something like this right. Wolverine is Wolverine downpour. Recuperating element adamantium claws. It goes from that point, yet this story falls off the impact points of a one-hot comic book that Wonder recently did, which we covered. You'll find a connection to it toward the finish of this video, where fundamentally the antagonist Surge had arisen in a substitute reality and afterward went into the multiverse to begin vanquishing universes. Those of you all who don't have the foggiest idea who Surge is, customarily he is a mix of Xavier and Magneto's brains basically, and in the primary Wonder universe back during the Surge adventure he nearly cleared out everyone on Earth. In this occurrence he's a blend of Janan Dim and Magneto, yet he's similarly as strong and presumably deadlier now than he's at any point been, thus uniting every one of these Wolverine. The principal thing we do here is we truly get with the period of end of the world variant of Wolverine downpour from Earth 295, now dissimilar to folks like elderly person Logan, who we'll see later on in this video. With regards to time of end times Wolverine, his existence became what it was on the grounds that Army, the child of Xavier, went into the past to kill Magneto to make life simpler on his dad so the X-Men wouldn't need to manage Magneto. Xavier hopped in the manor and kicked the bucket, and the antagonist end of the world took over North America. When it arrived at this rendition of Wolverine, he's feeling the loss of a hand since he got into a battle with Cyclops. He in a real sense cut out Cyclops' eye and Cyclops brushed his hand off, and it's only sort of been that way since. Right, he's truly one of the cooler characters. I couldn't say whether we've covered period of end times on this station on the off chance that we haven't. We ought to, yet he's extremely dull and extremely agonizing, right? Yet he additionally lived it up. Thing happening with Jean Dim, yet Jean Dim in his world essentially passed on. Thus what you do is you discover that besides the fact that at time of his end times Wolverine, it's obviously zombie Wolverine from the Wonder Zombies universe. You have Jane Howlett, who's truly cool, a female variant of Wolverine, not that unique from X-23 obviously. The histories are totally different. You have elderly person Logan, and afterward you have Earth X Wolverine. Now every single one of these folks will get their own history in this comic. It will not be excessively perplexing, it'll be barely sufficient to give you some data, and we'll cover that to check out. Yet they've all been united by Jean from the multiverse, right? This Phoenix Power rendition of quality that was one portion of Surge, and the thought was to in a real sense get them, since with regards to Wolverines they're awesome, there is at what they do well, and they have no misgivings and no quarrels about going into a universe and killing whoever they need to kill to overcome assault, since what Attack is doing is bouncing, starting with one host body, then onto the next. Thus assuming they go to a universe and they find Attack in the group of like Jean Dim, they'll kill Jean. Assuming they find Assault in the collection of Cyclops, they'll kill Cyclops. It doesn't exactly make any difference obviously, as we'll find things are significantly more complicated than that. Thus the main errand that they're given is to go to Earth 93068. This is a ridiculously fascinating reality ity here, since we wind up discovering that in this universe every one of the legends and the freaks and antagonists and all the way completely collaborated together to overcome the danger of the Bidon. Now the Bidon in Wonder Comics is only an extraterrestrial society that exists out there. They're truly more inseparable from like weapons advancement than whatever else, yet they're staggeringly proficient and unimaginably strong. But since all the superheroes and super antagonists joined together, it truly made a sort of ideal world on Earth. The issue is that when these Wolverines show up, they're promptly distinguished by the uncanny Vindicators. So you have Jean Dim on this world, you've additionally got her adaptation of Magneto, you have Chief Wonder, obviously you have Skipper America, you really do have Bugman. Yet it's truly Miles Spirits, it's not Peter Parker, but rather the large concern they have is like, who are these folks? And where did they come from? Now when the battle breaks out, it happens basically precisely as you would expect, right? These Wolverine doing what they can where they might the best they at any point can against these folks. It is cool to see that in each universe that he's in, Commander America Safeguard is made out of a material that Wolverine's paws can't scratch. So that is dope. Now one of the other intriguing things here, and this is the motivation behind why this comic is so fun, there are a few irregularities and so forth. For instance, like in the battle against Chief America, elderly person Logan pops his hooks. There's a point later on in the story where he will Reference the way that he never pops his paws, that he promised to at absolutely no point ever pop his paws, so in the future it sort of goes this way, and that the comic is fun, right? It's typical fun, which I feel like has been missing from Wonder lately yet again. Like Magneto steps, in light of his capacity to control attraction, fundamentally takes these adaptations of Wolver Downpour out. Promptly, yet it's at last time of end of the world Wolver Downpour who moves forward and sort of finishes everything, since everything that he does is he says to Jean, "Dim, you're a clairvoyant, guessed our thoughts, and see that we're coming clean on the grounds that the entire time, like the wool of rules, are attempting to dissuade them, right? They're attempting to let them know, like, haven't arrived to go after your reality or any such thing. We're here to manage a specific danger." Now obviously when Jean guesses what he might be thinking, and afterward understands that they are coming clean, they've been united by another reality rendition of herself to save all that. Then you additionally get like Zombie Wolverine who moves forward, and Zombie Wolverine is more the comedic help in this story than whatever else. All he believes should do is eat individuals, and even Jean offers this remark where she resembles his speculation about tearing into me, right? Currently, right? Like that is only his personality. That is only what he truly does. Thus again, like winds up happening that every one of these Wolver rules are fundamentally taken to the uncanny Justice Fighter's pinnacle, which replaces the conventional Justice Fighter's pinnacle. It is cool to see that in this reality, the Uncanny Vindicators group, right, the Justice Fighter's Solidarity crew, as it's brought in certain conditions that it lives on, in light of the fact that in the principal Wonder Universe Uncanny Justice Fighters exists, yet it's just ever something transitory intended to manage some sort of a danger that it rose into reality after the occasions of Justice Fighters vs. X-Men to sort of scaffold the crack between the two groups. Teased as it's only on to get off again here, it's apparently long-lasting. Thus Jean goes into Cerebro to examine the personalities of everyone on Earth to check whether she can recognize attack. Thus fundamentally, all you have left resembles elderly person Logan and Earth X Wolver Downpour and Time of End Times Wolverine, who were only sort of hanging out together. Earth's Wolverine is especially fascinating, and I'm interested to perceive how you all answer his personality. For those of you all who never saw our recordings on Earth X yet, something that likewise occurs here is that since they're only sort of sitting tight for an hour or so, they sort of have this discussion off board about like Zombie Wolver Downpour and his recuperating factor in the zombie disease. And it's very much like the mending component didn't neutralize the zombie contamination. It's a little peculiar. Wonder composed a story that apparently begun the zombie universe where it was essentially multitude of obscurity, and it resembled the Necronomicon. So active the zombies are very much like deadites, right? Very much like evil presences, pretty much. Yet it's odds, it's not excessively significant. It's only one of those great seemingly insignificant details that they tossed in there, assuming you comprehend the reference to what they're referring to. Obviously Gone Dim rises out of all of this and afterward says, like, I can't recognize assault anyplace, right, as I don't have the foggiest idea where this person is presently. There is a piece of you that is likely saying great, that is on the grounds that quality's invasion, that is false, and as a matter of fact it's much more intriguing than that. Thus what happens is they fundamentally contact multiverse quality, right, and they tell her like invasion apparently isn't here and it resembles okay cool, like I sing into that world since I was following his mystic path, and it seemed like he might have went there, yet it seems like he might have proactively left us. What you wind up doing is truly exchanging over to a Jane Wright, where she's very much like at this bar getting some R&R with, you know, an entire pack of individuals, etc., and winds up happening that as she's here there's these sort of remarks and a sort of conversation, perhaps a smidgen of a contention, where Jane apparently arrives at the understanding that very much like something's off here. She can't be totally sure yet, something appears to be off base. Thus she will likely contact Multiverse JE so they can sort of dig somewhat more profound just to figure out this large number of folks are tainted by attack, right? That is the reason it made him so difficult to recognize he wasn't in one individual, he was in large number of individuals. Thus what you wind up doing is you fundamentally have this large number of Uncanny Justice Fighters, or possibly a portion of the Uncanny Vindicators, since like Monster and those folks are assuming control over Bugman's not right. Bug Man's a customary person, yet they generally sort of met up. Attack shows himself, thus currently it's simply attempting to get everyone to somewhere safe. and secure as quick as they can in light of the fact that what winds up occurring here is that while you really do have Earth XW Rain who bounces and right you have like you know. Elderly person Logan and time of end of the world Wolver downpour that leap and actually surge has assumed control over these folks in.